20 NFL teams have OTAs get underway on Tuesday. We have updates from Buffalo, updates from Atlanta, and a very interesting quote from Commissioner Roger Goodell. NFL Spotlight starts now. Welcome in. It is the Wednesday, May 28th edition of the NFL Spotlight Show. I am your host, Ari Meirov. Yesterday, Tuesday, we had our special Spotlight guest of the week. We were joined by former longtime pro scout of the New England Patriots, Rodney McGill, somebody who won 3 Super Bowls there, was a part of some really memorable times in New England. We talked about all of that, his career, his journey, and much more. Some fantastic behind the scenes stories. So go check that out if you have not done so yet. As for today, the NFL season, regular season, officially under 100 days away. Yesterday was 100 days. Today, into double digits, it is 99 days away. And a bunch of teams had OTAs get underway yesterday. Let me bring in my good friend Ben Allen. Ben, what is going on? It is great to see you here on this Wednesday.
Yeah, great to see you too, Ari. I do have to ask, do you in your bedroom have a number for 365 days or whatever? I guess it would be fewer than that starting that you just tick down every day just to know exactly how many days away we are from the season.
So should we go behind the scenes of how I operate? Should we do that?
Yes.
All right. So every year during the off season, I do set in my Google Calendar whenever we have 100 days away and then 50 days away and those milestone days away for the regular season. So yes, I do that. And that's why the tweet was up on Tuesday morning that we are 100 days away from Eagles and Cowboys.
You are a prep freak, and I think you have everything set months in advance for when big dates will be coming up, including historical as well as important dates on the just off-season calendar.
It's what I do. I mean, you could go back 7-8 years now. I tweeted we're 100 days away for 8 straight years now. So it's my little thing that I do.
All right. Well, we may be 100 days away from the NFL, but that doesn't mean that we already don't have drama boiling. And this is a reminder for everyone out there what the word voluntary means. Because the definition of voluntary in Merriam-Webster's dictionary versus what you get in the NFL kind of have a little bit of different meaning. So, reminder, the literal definition means to do something based on your own free will, meaning no consequences, no pressure to do something. In NFL terms, it more frequently means wink, wink, you need to show up. So what we're seeing right now in the NFL is voluntary workouts. Again, not mandatory, voluntary. But with all that being said, one of the biggest players in the NFL is missing right now, and that would be James Cook. A lot of the Buffalo Bills guys have gotten extensions this offseason, a lot of them considered team friendly. James Cook is wanting a contract extension that would not be necessarily team friendly. His brother Dalvin has already floated $20 million per year, which would put him right there with the top running backs in the NFL, Saquon Barkley. And not to diminish what James Cook is capable of doing, he had 16 rushing touchdowns last year, which was tied for the most in the NFL, but still maybe a far cry away from 20 million. So he's not there. Again, voluntary. How does this shake out next? Is he going to be showing up for mandatory? Do you imagine this is something that's going to be resolved quickly? It hasn't up till this point. Where do you think things fall as we get into the true run of training camp coming up?
So I think it was at the owners' meetings when Bills GM Brandon Beane basically said we are tabling these talks with James Cook. And you mentioned the band; they've done extensions this offseason for Josh Allen, Terrell Bernard, Gregory Rousseau, Khalil Shakir, Christian Benford, a lot of important players getting extended here. James Cook has been the only one who has not gotten it yet, and it's not for a lack of effort. The Bills and Cook's people tried to do an extension. Cook's people were very far apart from the number the Bills want to do. And the Bills were like, we're going to move on from you and we're going to do the other players. And if you want to become more serious, come back to us. Now, I think this conversation cannot happen without explaining who are the people who are negotiating for James Cook, because these are the same people that, I mean, it's fine to do this. They sometimes overvalue what the player should be. And again, it's an interesting thing, but we know where the running back market is and how teams think of it. And I'll just say like this: James Cook has the same agent as Shamar Stewart, who right now is the rookie in Cincinnati, who is not even participating at any on-field stuff without a rookie contract, even though players get an injury waiver. He's the same agent who had J.K. Dobbins in Baltimore hold out at one point. If he didn't get a deal, did not get a deal, suffered a torn Achilles, was a free agent for a long time, signed with the Chargers, had a great year last year. Here we are right now. He's still a free agent because he's waiting for more money than anybody's going to give him. So the situation basically is that this situation with the people who are negotiating here, they start too high. The Bills are like, we're not going to do that. It has not come down. And that's why it is the way it is. Now, what I would say is with these people, I would not rule out a situation where once we get into mandatory and we get into, the real stuff, that it's still going on and maybe they create some noise. I mean, I could see that happening as well. I mean, if you remember his brother, Dalvin Cook, when he was a free agent after being released by the Jets, it was a whole circus to find out where he's going to go. And of course, the Jets ended up signing him and that did not end up working out. But the point is, like, this is an ongoing theme with these people. So it does not surprise me it's happening. Zay Flowers, by the way, used to have the same representation. He actually just switched agents and now is with somebody else. So this has been a theme with these people, which again, it's fine to have those agents and maybe, just maybe, they'll get you the deal you wanted. But at the same time, it's going to be a situation where, as a result, this could happen. And does not surprise me at all that he's not there for voluntary. But we're going to see what happens over here once it gets to the serious stuff and if he's going to show up for that or if they decide to create some noise over here. But the Bills have been pretty upfront. Brandon Beane, their GM, at the owners' meetings, made it clear we're just not talking about it right now. Leave us alone. It was too much. And if you want to play out your rookie deal, just play it out. And I could see that being the scenario. But the question becomes, will they allow him to play under the final year of his rookie contract? So this is far from over. We're hearing about this again now. It's been going on really ever since the Bills got eliminated. He's been tweeting out $20 million a year, looking for these big numbers. The Bills are not going to go there. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. I mean, you got to go way, way lower than that. Great player, very productive, very important. They're not going into $15-20 million per year on average. So it would be very, very shocking if they do. So this is far from over, and missing voluntary is fine, but it would not surprise me if this is still a conversation once we get to the mandatory stuff as well.
How how much pressure do the Bills feel to actually get him into the building? How important do you think he really is to that offense? What would be the alternatives if he chooses to say hold out into the regular season?
I think they're okay with it. I mean, he knows the system. Nothing has changed. It's Josh Allen. It's Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator. There's nothing significant over here where he's missing voluntary, where it's the end of the world, right? The question really becomes once we get to the mandatory stuff and we get to training camp, and this becomes a distraction and becomes every single day Sean McDermott is asked about it. And Brandon Beane, who is one of the better GMs at actually speaking publicly and doing press conferences, where he's going to get questions peppered to him about where is James, what's going on, where are the negotiations, will the other side create some more noise? That element of it is definitely possible over here. And that's really the issue when it comes to all of this. So I think the Bills are very aware of who they are dealing with here. I'm sure they've heard many stories over the years about this side being very, very difficult, and they need to get something. If they don't get it, they're going to play hardball. That's fine. Again, it's totally fine, but it could definitely go in ways where the Bills, who are in a win now Super Bowl mode, it could be very distracting. So I'm not going to rule out anything happening here, whether it's him not showing up, a potential trade request, like any of those things could happen here, considering the people who are talking for him. That's the way I would say it when it comes to all of this.
All right. Well, James isn't the only one who wasn't at mandatory or voluntary. Now you got me thrown off here, Ari. He wasn't the only one not at voluntary OTAs on Tuesday. Kirk Cousins of the Atlanta Falcons benched last year in favor of rookie Michael Penix Jr. He is looking to try to get his way out of Atlanta, ideally via a trade. He was not there on Tuesday, which is a little surprising to me because he actually has been around the facility. He's been there for some of the offseason programs. Some of the coaches have said it's been there, not frequently or not necessarily scheduled, but he's been there and he's been around. Some people have argued this might be trying to put them in an awkward situation, more of posturing to try to see if he could find his way out of town. But not here, not surprising, right? Like where are they with all this stuff? Do you think an outright cut is something that's actually going to be considered at all, or it's just, hey, Kirk, hope you find your way over to the bench, all right?
I mean, this has been a chess match between the two sides, and April 22 was the official start of all the voluntary stuff, and that was before the draft. He showed up to that basically just to make things a bit awkward, like you said. Basically, I'll be here before the draft. Michael Penix is the guy, but I'm there in the corner as well. This is pretty weird for you, isn't it, right, Raheem Morris? But it didn't work. The draft came by. Everyone picked their quarterbacks. No trades materialized. He's still on the roster. Now that the draft is over, it's still voluntary. It's like there is no reason to be here. I mean, I can make it more awkward. Maybe I'll show up for day 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. That's definitely possible. But he was not there. But the bigger picture here is really what's going to happen to Kirk Cousins, because we know he's not going to be the starter in Atlanta this year. It's Michael Penix's job, and he's owed $27.5 million this year. He already had $10 million fully guaranteed trigger for next year as well. And when you look around the NFL, the only viable option out there, if you look around, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers if Aaron Rodgers does not go there. So other than that, there is no other place. I mean, the New Orleans Saints are not going to be trading for Kirk Cousins in the division. You look at, Tennessee obviously drafted Cam Ward. Giants drafted Jackson Dart. Cleveland has 4 quarterbacks with Flacco, Pickett, Shador, and Dylan Gabriel. There is no real landing spot over here for Kirk Cousins, barring an injury happening somewhere around the NFL. And that could potentially happen at any time. It also could just not happen at all. So that's where things become a little bit weird. I do not see a cut happening over here unless Kirk Cousins really becomes a drama queen, which has never been his thing. So I don't see that happening over here. So him just staying on the roster for now and eventually becoming their backup quarterback for this year is a possibility, which is crazy. But if they wanted to cut him, the time to do it was before the $10 million was going to trigger for 2026. They allow that to trigger a few months ago. They could have cut him before that, pay the $27.5 million, move on, and that's it. They were like, no, we're going to keep you and have another $10 million trigger as well. So I don't see a cut being involved over here. Again, the Falcons have shocked me before with their decision making, but that would not make sense to me. But for now, all eyes are on Pittsburgh. Is Aaron Rodgers actually going to end up there? The prevailing belief is he will eventually. And if that's the case, Kirk Cousins' only option might just be in Atlanta, which is quite crazy.
Which might not be the worst case for him, right? Because if you are going to be forced to be a backup, you want to be in a place where you have an opportunity to play. You're coming into a quarterback that is a sophomore. He showed enough likely as a rookie to kind of say, all right, this is my team. But he is a guy who's also torn his ACL twice, had a combination of shoulder injuries when he's in college. So there is actually a higher chance that he could see the field, he being Kirk Cousins, than maybe if he was somewhere else, right? Just based off history.
The situation he's in, there's a perfect example of it. It's the Jimmy Garoppolo situation from a few years ago when the 49ers went into the year, we're going to make our second-year quarterback, Trey Lance, our starting quarterback. And Jimmy Garoppolo was stuck on the team, and the 49ers were like, we're going to try to find the trade partner for him. And throughout the offseason, into the draft, after the draft, during training camp, no trade partners came along. And eventually, if you remember, Jimmy Garoppolo was literally being used on a different practice field because there was no plans of having him on the team. And then eventually the season comes along. The 49ers are like, we have no trade partner. Nobody needs a quarterback. There were no injuries around the NFL. So they kept him on the team going into the year. Trey Lance starts week 1 versus the Bears in a monsoon. They lose that game, I believe, if I recall correctly, or they win, whatever it was. But then week 2 versus Seattle, he suffers that devastating injury. It was a fracture, leg, foot, whatever it was. And his season was over. Jimmy Garoppolo all of a sudden ends up on the field. And of course, later on in the year, he gets injured. Brock Purdy comes in, and the rest is history. So right now, this situation with Kirk Cousins is tracking to be a very, very similar type of a situation to what Jimmy Garoppolo had a few years ago in San Francisco when he wanted out. The team was ready to move on from him, but no team was willing to give up any assets for him. And the team was like, he's too valuable to give up and just cut him. So they kept him. And of course, he kind of became relevant for a few weeks before he got injured as well. And Brock Purdy came in. So that's kind of the situation that Kirk Cousins is in right now. And there's an exact scenario that happened a few years ago who had a similar situation as this.
If you were to guess, and this is obviously just got to be speculation, neither yourself nor myself have actually really been out there seeing Kirk Cousins throw. Do you believe, and basically based off anything that you've maybe heard, that he is in a better space physically right now here in May of 2025 than what we saw during the season last year as far as arm strength goes and everything alongside that?
Yeah, I mean, his people will tell you that he is. And again, he was coming off that ruptured Achilles last year, his final year in Minnesota. Atlanta signed him. And if you remember, like, his pre-free agency, like there was a video of him throwing on a tennis field, which I don't know how that tells you that he is ready to throw on a football field. Like the idea of giving him the contract that he got, it was a bit questionable at the time coming off that injury with the age. Him not playing so well in year one after that significant injury, and again, with the age where he is in the mid 30s, it was not the most surprising thing in the world. And Aaron Rodgers, who suffered the same injury and also was an aging quarterback, will tell you that year one after the Achilles, you're not fully prepared to step in to your throws. Whenever you're dropping back, you're still worried about the potential pop that you felt the last time you tore your Achilles. Like all those things are real things, especially for quarterbacks who are not mobile as well. It's going to be in your head the entire time. So Kirk Cousins and his people have told other people, and his people right now are talking to the media nonstop because they want to get him out of Atlanta, that he's in a way better place right now than where he was a year ago. So they believe he is still a starting quarterback. But when you take on the fact that he still has that much money left on the contract, all the fully guaranteed money, the fact that Atlanta does not want to pay most of it, the fact that if you're going to trade for him, you have to give up a fourth round pick, whatever pick it ends up being, the age, the injury, the play last year. Like there's a lot of factors over here where as a team trying to acquire him, his people could say he's good, but we got to actually see it and believe. And there's too many factors here to make it possible right now. So I do believe going another year away from the injury is going to help him, but there are so many factors here for an order for a trade to actually happen. And that's part of the reason why no trade has happened to this point.
All right, Ari, one more thing to hit before we get out of here, and it has to do with the collective bargaining agreement. Commissioner Roger Goodell told reporters that he, aka the owners, are concerned about the current structure of the sky-high rising salary cap and the cash that the players are taking in. We talk about this at nauseum on this show, all of these brand new deals that guys are getting, which seemingly every month seems like they're breaking records for either position or total amount of guaranteed money, this, that, or the other. The owners, being people that have made their money presumably throughout their lives, are very protective of their money, and they're starting to wonder whether the system that is currently designed to be able to compensate players is actually growing at a rate that would be considered, market standard. There's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot of like ins and outs of like how money works with the NFL, revenue, this, that, and the other. I'm going to hand it over to you. Just we need you to unpack this situation, his comments, what changes you expect to see with the salary cap. Does it happen at the next collective bargaining agreement change, or is it something that could happen beforehand?
Yeah, I don't want to delve into this too much and bore people, but Roger Goodell is somebody who has been listening to many of his press conferences over the years. He is the king of talking and saying absolutely nothing. But whenever he has to say something and get a message across, he's going to say it and he hopes the media realizes. So last week at the owners' meetings in Minneapolis, he has his end of owners' meetings press conference, which he does every single time. And basically, he did mention that this is the quote exactly, we did spend time today talking at length about areas of our collective bargaining agreement that we want to focus on. The two areas that we spent time on were really the cap system itself, the integrity of that system, how it's working, where do we need to address that in the context of collective bargaining and when does that happen, that was a very lengthy discussion. The other one was about stadiums and some other stuff of here, which we won't get into today. But the interesting part about it is when you look at the CBA and you look at the way NFL teams have been using the current salary cap system, what could he be talking about? And there are many answers over here. I mean, he could be talking about the overall pie, how much players get, how much owners get. He could be talking about just the rise of how the integrity of the cap currently is. And he used the word integrity in that quote. And essentially, when you look around the NFL, one of the biggest changes we've had over here over the last several years is NFL teams using void years a lot in their contracts. Now, for fans who don't know what void years are, essentially it's fake years on the contract where you um, the signing bonus that a player gets, it's basically prorated over the life of a contract. If you add more void years to the contract, the signing bonus will extend into those void years, which makes the cap number for the current year lower. It's a whole system. A lot of teams use it. Most notably, the most aggressive teams are the Eagles and the Browns. They use it the most. But the point is, in the early part of the initial CBA back in 2011 to around 2018, void years were not really used. Around when COVID came and the salary cap was going to go down, revenue was going to go down, teams had to reshuffle their books and they started using this system of void years. Now, it's always been there, but now teams are using it way more and basically taking advantage of the salary cap system. And every team could do it, especially if you have a cash rich owner. It's something you could really take advantage of. Like the Eagles, we see how many players are getting paid, $10+ million on their team. It's because they give out these huge signing bonuses. They spread out the cap number over a number of years, and they add void years as well. They also do these, it's not really tricks, but they play around with the post-June 1 stuff after the season is over. There's a lot of manipulation that they do with the salary cap where essentially the integrity of the cap is kind of being taken advantage of. Eventually, every single dollar does hit your salary cap, but if the cap keeps on going up, the value of a dollar in 2025 is not the same value in 2027 and 2028. So I wonder if Roger Goodell is talking about that, and especially if you are an owner who is not cash rich. I mean, all of them have a lot of money, but like cash on hand is what we're talking about, and putting money into escrow, which is still a system in the NFL. This is something where you're looking around. It's like, it's not fair what the Eagles are doing compared to what a team like the Bengals are doing, for example. So I'll give you a perfect example. The wide receiver market. I mean, Devontae Smith, the amount of money he got as a wide receiver too, and Jalen Waddle, the amount of money he got as a wide receiver too, and Brandon Ayuk, the amount of money he got. Look at those contracts. Look at the void years that were included in those contracts. They got $28+ million per year or whatever it was, but a lot of it went into void years as well to help out the salary cap system. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you have T. Higgins, you're like, we don't like using void years, but we're going to have to pay this guy $29 million a year. It's kind of unfair for us. So I wonder if that's kind of what Roger Goodell was talking about. I could be way off on all of this, but I do wonder if that is something he's talking about. And you look at some of the previous CBAs, we spoke about this a few weeks ago, but the NFL, whenever they feel like there is something unfair when it comes to the way players are being paid, they change it. If you remember back in 2011, this is what we spoke about a few weeks ago, the rookie wage scale was a big issue for the NFL. Like Sam Bradford, Jamarcus Russell, Matthew Stafford, all these number one overall picks were signing these gigantic, like 6-year, $75 million contracts back then. And they were essentially becoming the highest paid players on their teams when they have not proven anything in the NFL. Come along the 2011 CBA, they got rid of that system and they basically introduced a new rookie wage scale where everything is slotted moving forward. And right now, the latest number one overall pick, Cam Ward, signed a 4-year, I believe it was like a $48 million deal. So finally, it's, kind of moving up. And compared to what it was years ago, it's night and day. So the NFL has changed the system in the past whenever they feel like the system is a little bit being taken advantage of or whatever it is. So Roger Goodell saying that publicly, I think was eye-popping for me, and I wonder what he's talking about over here. From an NFLPA standpoint, I mean, this current CBA is still going to go on till the 2030s. You could renegotiate at any point, but the PA has had a lot of turnover here in recent years. DeMar Smith, who was their last president, is gone. They hired Lloyd Howell, who's a businessman, to take over. So there's a lot of moving parts over here. The NFL also wants 18 games. A lot of things over here. We're going to be talking a lot about all this. I mean, I don't know how many people cover the CBA in depth, but we're going to do it here as we get closer and closer. The last thing anybody wants, of course, is a lockout and no games. And that is something that came close the last time. It obviously happened, came very close to happening a number of times over the years. That's the last thing anybody wants. But if the NFL wants something, the one thing I'll tell you right now is the NFL and their owners, they know one thing. We could survive without football games. All those players can't. They cannot have their paychecks not coming out. So if the NFL wants something, they could get it. And of course, the PA and their leadership, they better start working over here because it's pretty clear owners are talking right now about how to talk about this future negotiation that's coming up over here in the next few years.
Well, we'll have to wait and see where everything lands with the players, the CBA, salary cap, the never-ending NFL schedule. Ari has got everything set on his phone. We're ready for it. We'll be here on NFL Spotlight. Make sure you subscribe on Apple, YouTube, Spotify. More Spotlight guests coming up in the near future. Ari, unless there's anything else, we're good to go.
That will do it here for our Wednesday, May 20th edition of the NFL Spotlight Show. We will be back here tomorrow morning to talk more about the NFL, all the latest headlines, the ripple effects, and much more. We will see you all here tomorrow morning.